So how is Shopkick different from like a traditional check-in? What is it that sets it apart?
It's a rewards application. So you can just walk into a store and you suddenly rewarded just for walking in.
Okay.
So in other words, it's the first program that rewards you just for walking into a store. You just take out your app, walk in to Best Buy, Macy's, American Eagle, Sports Authority, Simon Malls, and since yesterday, Target, and since today, Wet Seal. So you walk into one of these places and it says, welcome, you just got 75 kickbucks, and that's all you got to do. And then the other thing that is very different is it is focused on shopping. Mm-hmm. This is a location-based shopping app. This is not a location-based social app. Mm-hmm. And there's a big difference. We'll have social features, but that's not the core of the app. The core is to make your shopping experience in the physical world way better. And that's what we're focused on. Way better means more personal, more rewarding, and more fun.
So you walk in, it knows you're there.
Yeah.
How does it know you're there? I know this is your presence technology. Is that
That's right. So we call it the Shopkick signal. And the way this works is you basically install this device in the store.
Okay.
All it needs is power. And this is the solution to a 20-year-old problem. Mm-hmm. Because for a long time, people have been trying to figure out, how do you know if somebody is in a building or not, without actually infringing on privacy?
Sure.
It's a very important topic.
Right.
So how does this work? It doesn't need any Wi-Fi. It needs no internet. You just plug it into a power outlet, and it plays an inaudible audio signal. Mm-hmm. And the app can pick up the audio signal. And inside the signal is a unique code that's different for each place. So we know exactly which store you're at. And whether you have GPS or not doesn't matter. Inside a mall where there's no GPS, huge problem, doesn't matter. This is so accurate that we actually know whether you are inside this room or in the next room next door.
Oh, really?
And because that is so accurate, you can actually, and this is why this is so important, because technology by itself doesn't really have a purpose unless it solves a huge problem. The problem we were trying to solve and why we built this was because we wanted to reward people for walking into a store. Why do we want to do that? Because it makes shopping better for consumers, but for retailers, it drives foot traffic. And foot traffic is the number one, single most important problem for every physical retailer. It's the number one problem. Getting people through the door is great in physical retail because the chances of converting into a transaction are really high. And online, they're not.
Sure.
So I don't know if you know the difference in scale. Like online, you're talking about a conversion rate of 0.5% to 3% from going to a website to buying. Offline, you're talking about 20 to 95%. In fashion, it's 20. In electronics, it's 40 to 60. In groceries, it's 95. So it's a huge opportunity to bring people in because they might actually buy something.
Right.
Because like being under a Christmas tree, you get all these great things in front of you. You just have to grab them.
Sure.
And so that's why we asked a very simple question. If foot traffic is so important, then why does nobody ever reward anybody for visiting a store? Why only for purchases? And the answer to that question is because they have no idea you're there. Until when? Until you pay and you leave. In other words, when it's too late to add one more item to your basket, that's when they figure out you're present. So everything is turned around on its head. Nobody treats you like a special customer when you walk in. The consumer doesn't get treated well. The retailer has no clue you're there. When you leave without buying, nobody has ever any chance to follow up with you and get you back. Everything's turned on its head. And this box changes all of that. And it's really cheap. So it doesn't need Wi-Fi, it doesn't need internet, just power. And we're already deployed in 1,000 stores across America, in San Francisco, LA, New York, Chicago, Dallas, and Minneapolis, and more cities are, Miami, and more cities are coming. And in 100 malls, because we have Simon Malls as a partner. This is the largest mall operator in the US.
So you mentioned that the app senses when you're in there. Is it
That's right.
through the microphone?
It's
in the
through the microphone. So
and the device, I'm sorry.
We filed patents for it. It's a very complex technology,
Right.
not from the hardware perspective, from the software perspective. Because if you've ever dealt with sound, think about all the echo effects. Every room is different. It's actually very hard to solve problem,
Sure.
which is great once you've solved it. And it is good from a privacy perspective because you decide whether you want to pick up that signal or not.
Okay.
The box has no idea where you are.
Sure, right.
Your phone has an idea where you are
Right.
because it picks up the signal. It's basically like you deciding, I want to get a GPS signal from the satellite. Yes, no.
Right.
I want to get the Shopkick signal. Yes, no. It's up to you, and therefore it's fully under your control. Otherwise, if it hadn't been that way, we wouldn't have built it.
Okay.
Because I believe that we're firm believers that on mobile, privacy is the king.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be super careful to do it right.
So you mentioned retailers before. Is there an analytics package or anything that the retailer can use to start to understand more of that foot traffic? They're getting people in the door, but what can they do with that information?
It's a great question. So we already ran some experiments, and we doubled the kickbucks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the name of the currency.
Right.
Cross-retailer, by the way.
Sure.
First one across retailers. Earn at Best Buy, take it to Target, and vice versa. We ran a double kickbucks promotion and checked whether more people would walk into the store. The answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this has not been announced previously. One of our retail partners, American Eagle, has already decided to roll to another 150 stores after only 2 months, much faster than we expected. Just in time for the holidays, they will be in another 150 stores. And why do you think they're doing that? Because data was analyzed.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't give out more specifics yet, but one retailer rolls out to another 150 stores, and we have already shown experiments. Obviously, sales data is tracking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very excited. And now the holiday season, shopping season begins.
Sure.
And that's basically like our prime time. It's like 8 o'clock nonstop for us
Right.
till Christmas.
Right. Now, kind of broadening this a little bit, the bridging of the real world and the digital world.
Yes.
Do you think that passivity is an important component of that, where you're not forcing the consumer to actually engage in an
Yes.
activity? It sort of does it for them? Is that the key to this?
Absolutely. Simplicity always wins. If you can make something simpler, the consumer will embrace that more than the more complex solution. Why wouldn't they?
Sure.
And so the notion of walking in and opening an app and it just says welcome, and then you can start an engagement and dialogue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because more things in the store could get better. I'm sure you've been looking for advice many times and didn't know exactly where to get it from.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things that can happen inside the store. But the notion of just opening and it says hello is so nice. Why would you replace that with, I have to say I'm there?
Sure.
And by the way, not in all cases do you want to let all your friends know where you are either, right?
Right.
On Shopkick, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to let anybody know where you are.
Right. So last question I had for you, and it's sort of a kind of out there futurist type of thing, but
Yeah.
do you think that we'll get to a point where, as an example, I can walk down the street
Yes.
and I've got an app that's sort of listening in,
Yeah.
and I only drink coffee before 10 a.m., right? I don't drink it after
Right.
10 a.m.
Well, that's
so,
healthy.
well,
Good.
thanks. I'm not interested in hearing from Starbucks after 10 a.m.
Okay.
But if it's before 10 a.m.,
Yeah.
is there going to be a time
Yeah.
where I opt into some sort of message and I am able to get either a deal or awareness or some sort of correlation between
Yeah.
the brick and mortar space, my personal preference, time,
Yes.
location, all these different things? Are we going to get to that point?
So 2 parts to that answer. The old notion of getting the coupon when you pass by the Starbucks
Yeah.
is hopefully on its way out. Because it has been so used for 15 years, and most people don't want to get stuff without asking.
Sure, right.
However, second part to the question, to the answer is personalization opens a whole new opportunity in a different world. And I think it's interesting if you take your example and you really bring it down to you request it, you ask for it, you want to have it, and you explicitly say, please tell me.
Sure, right.
That's a different situation.
Right.
And then there might be a case there. And on a broader level, I assume behind your question is the whole notion of personalization and relevance, right? That is where the next big move will occur. Because it's all about you and your experience. And that doesn't stop outside the store. It continues inside the store.
Sure.
And it doesn't even begin outside on the street. It happens at home too. So there's a whole range of things that you are interested in when you sit on your couch. And there's a whole range of things you're not going to be interested in when you sit on your couch. For example, you're not going to be interested in scanning items that are supposed to be in the store because you're not in the store.
Sure.
So why in the world would I offer that to you?
Right.
So then on the street, I'm supposing you're not carrying around 3 bags with items either that you could scan. So why would I offer that to you there? Then you're in the store. Different situation. Now your preferences come into the play. And you might actually be not so interested in dresses because you're a man, unless you want to buy that for your wife.
Sure.
So there's all kinds of things that have to come into play to make it better, and that's just the beginning. Because I would say there's 5 different elements to personalization. It starts with your preferences, and preferences can be explicit or implicit. Implicit means just by what you do, and that often speaks louder than your explicit preferences. Your friends, your recommendations, the social features, right? And then the location is important. Where are you? Because that changes your context. And then the content that you're interested in, that you're usually looking at, very important aspect. You're interested in different content in different situations. And lastly, time. So those are very different parameters. They all play into the same notion of it's about you. And we have a long way to go to get to your vision and make it really cool. But when it's there, people will never want to go back.
Great. Well, thank you very much for being with us. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.